The United Nations has highlighted electronic waste as one of the fastest growing global waste concerns. The UK is one of the largest contributors to the problem. But some in London are trying to tackle this issue head-on. They are pushing for a so-called circular economy, which encourages people to prioritise repairing and borrowing over buying new items. CGTN's Paul Barber reports.
On this market street in North London, these volunteers aren't selling things, they're on a mission to mend them. Dermot Jones is the project manager of the Camden Fixing Factory, where people take their broken household goods and try to give them a new lease of life.
When we buy things for the home, we've fallen into the kind of acceptance that it's a short-term contract, it's going to die, we'll have to throw it away and buy another one. But that's a blip. We don't do that with cars, we don't do it with bicycles, we don't do it with industrial machinery, yet somehow we accept that in the home. And that's one of the things we want to turn around.
Electronic waste, or e-waste, is a major problem around the world. Britain is the world's second biggest producer of e-waste per capita, according to comparison service Uswitch, which predicts it will take the top spot next year. The Fixing Factory opened 2 years ago and relies on public funding. Often, the fixers show customers exactly what's wrong with their items so they can deal with future problems.
A lot of people would be terrified to open a vacuum cleaner or open an amplifier. We take them through how to do it safely, what the stages are.
Across town, a shopping centre is hosting a different approach to closing the circle of purchasing and throwing away. Here, a library of things offers a range of household goods for borrowing from as little as $1 a day.
In our kiosk today, we've got everything from a carpet cleaner to a hedge trimmer, and then a whole bunch of other useful items, from staple guns to handsaws to a pressure washer. So the whole aim of Library of Things is to make borrowing better than buying. The primary outcomes of that is to reduce wasteful consumerism, so reduce the amount of things that are unnecessarily going to landfill, or ultimately reduce the amount of things that are made in the first place.
The first Library of Things opened in South London nearly a decade ago, and there's now a network of sites across the British capital. Back at the Fixing Factory, a kettle is receiving life-saving surgery. Seemingly small acts, but for each item fixed or borrowed, these organisations could have a big impact on how people approach sustainability. Paul Barber, CGTN, London.
Martin Charter is director of the Centre for Sustainable Design at the University of Creative Arts in Farnham in the UK. He's been involved in tackling e-waste for years, and I asked him how bad the problem is.
There is over 50 million tonnes of e-waste produced globally, and so the challenge is not just in Europe and the UK, but it's a global problem. And it's not a new problem. This is an issue that has emerged. Certainly I looked at in great detail in the 2000s, and indeed the United Nations set up a program on this. I'd say Europe has, alongside Japan, have been leaders in trying to drive recycling of electronics. But of course, e-waste is manufactured globally, with a lot of the manufacturing in South and Southeast Asia. And we do note that there are, quite advanced recycling, not just in Europe, but also in the Greater China region.
Professor Martin, is there enough leadership shown globally when it comes to tackling e-waste and enacting the principles of so-called circular economy?
So we're seeing more and more initiatives, particularly around the reuse and repair of electronics, emerging. And I'd say globally that Europe is still taking leadership on circular economy. We have seen quite advanced activity over some time from Japan, simply because they have no natural resources. But you're seeing, a need for various stakeholders to take leadership. And one area where leadership is being taken is the emergence of new repair cafes, which come from civil society, where citizens are starting to repair products. And there's over 2,800 repair cafes in the world now.
And do you think sometimes producers are to blame, and what is the role of policy when it comes to stimulating producers to give their products utmost longevity?
So the issue of built-in product obsolescence has been discussed for a long time. Do companies deliberately design their products for death, if you like, or early retirement? And certainly some do, and many don't. I mean, companies have had the knowledge to design for repairability back into the sort of 2000s, but they've not either had the policy driver to do that or seen the business opportunity. But what is changing now is both the policy is changing, and the European Commission is, for example, recently put forward a repair directive, and also the right to repair your electronic items is becoming more of an issue. But, you know, we're seeing also the innovation and pushes coming from elsewhere as well.